What is up, YouTube? This is the Duke Now channel, and welcome to the review that no one's been waiting for. I've been playing a lot of Smash Brothers, and one of my favorite characters to play as is Ike. I just love the design and made me wonder, why haven't I played any of the Fire Emblem games? I heard they were pretty difficult, but I decided to do my research first and understand the lore and history of the franchise. I bumped into this video, so if you want to see it, there will be a link in the description below. Very informational, but way too much information to shove in your head. So I decided to start off with a remake of Fire Emblem Gaiden, the second game in the franchise, and that is loved and cherished by many fans. One thing the games of Fire Emblem are known for is the partner death mechanic, where once a character / friend dies in the battlefield, they are gone forever and the dialogue and events change without that certain character in your roster. That seemed pretty overwhelming for me, but I said screw it, let's give it a shot. So my journey in the world of Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadow of Valentia began. To inform you how my game reviews will work from now on, I'll be dividing the review into 3 sections. The first is premise / introduction, second, gameplay, and third, execution. This last section will have spoilers of the story, so if you haven't played the game, just watch the first 2 sections and then come back to the video if you want. Unless you don't care and you want to know my suffering in the last boss, then welcome, Satanist. When you initially start the game, you are greeted with the origin story of the land of Valentia. The land was created by 2 gods named Milla and Duma, brother and sister who had 2 different ideologies. Duma, the bad guy, wanted a land with humans that were strong and ruthless. In doing so, a land with people that knew nothing but suffering and power. Milla, the good side, still a bad guy in my eyes, wanted a land with people that do nothing but love and pleasures. Doing so, a land of spoiled and prideful people was created. A battle between brother and sister went on for thousands of years until they came up with an agreement where the land was going to be divided into 2 countries or sections. Duma's land was named Rigel and Milla's Sophia's. This sounds too much like North and South Korea for some reason. I think the developers had Korea in mind when writing the story of Valentia. Maybe, who knows. Anyways, in the start of the game, you have options for you. Not just difficulty level, but also something that made me feel relief. There is classic mode and casual mode to choose from. Classic is old-fashioned Fire Emblem, where once a character dies, they are done for good, and a Dementor sucks their soul. Just kidding, sorry, I've been watching way too many Harry Potter movies. Anyways, and of course there is casual mode, where characters come back to life after the battle is over, in case they die. I picked casual mode, but I had the mentality of playing in classic. I'll explain that in a bit throughout the video. When you start off the game, you are introduced to the protagonists and Celica, who are living in a small village known as Ram. While there, you get to know more about some of the characters that are going to be in your party for the rest of the game. While enjoying your time with Celica, one of your village friends is being attacked by a Rigel soldier. You rush to the woods where the attack is located. That's when Sir Mycen, or Grandpapa that he is known for, the badass of the story, comes to the rescue and beats the living crap out of this upstuck Rigel soldier. This is the match where you are introduced to the fighting mechanic. It is very turn-based. Player decides to attack the enemy, and they are put in an animation where your character attacks the opponent. This rule also applies to your enemy. After Grandpapa shows this douchebag who the real man in the relationship is, he flees. Knowing that the Rigel soldiers will know about Celica, Grandpapa decides to move Celica to another location far away from for no apparent reason. But I guess it had something to do with her being the girl who lived. Okay, I'll stop with the Harry Potter references. So the 2 lovebirds are split apart, but fate will reunite them in time. A few years go by, and becomes an adult, or a teenager. The game is not really clear. After a while of dialogue between and his friends, a young red armor soldier by the name of Luke swings by the town and claims that he is there to ask Sir Mycen for help. Apparently your grandpapa is the hero of Sophia, and he got all the ladies back in the day.
Bust down, Tatiana. Bust down, Tatiana. I wanna see you, but
anyways, he goes off to his house and he is later then rejected by Sir Myson. So now he is heroless. Has volunteered as tribute and wants to go fight some Regal soldiers in the name of Sophia. Who would have thought? Luke thanks and accepts his offer. Then convinces his friends to go off and fight and possibly die in this journey. Then off you go to your journey. Anyways, in the meantime, Sophia's king dies for no apparent reason, and you find out that Celica was his heir, which makes Celica a royalty. Ooh, who would have thought? Celica knows that something is up with Milla, the goddess of the land of Sophia, because she is not answering to prayers anymore, I guess. Celica has her own friends that she will bring to her journey to find out what is going on between the two gods. And off they go. Pretty simple premise of two heroes that grew up together and now they have separate paths that they need to accomplish. Throughout their journey, they build their relationship with other characters that consist of different classes to make your army strong and effective against other enemies that consist of magic enemies and physical enemies. Think of and his friends as the Avengers and Celica and her friends as Doctor Strange and his buddies, right? Physical and spiritual enemies, whatever. Anyways, there you go. That's pretty much the premise. Pretty simple, right? So let's move on to gameplay. So Fire Emblem is a game of tactics and strategies. I just use like synonyms, whatever. Anyways, the game is definitely a turn-based through and through. The fun lies in gathering fighters throughout the story and build your great army. The classes consist of riders, lancers, magic users, sword fighters, and archers. At least the base classes. The thrill comes from using your men and women in a way that completely dominates the enemy. You can choose how your army will face the problem they come across. You can choose to have the enemy flanked, or maybe you choose to take them head on, or maybe you want to stand your ground and wait for the enemy to attack. There are so many possibilities that make every single battle exciting and different. Throughout the whole game, you're fighting troops after troops. That aspect may get repetitive. Now, what makes the journey interesting is making your characters get stronger from each battle they fight. The level up system is pretty simple. They gain XP from battling enemy. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's it. Anyways, no, I'm just kidding. From leveling up, your character's stats increase. Stats consist of attack, skill, speed, luck, defense, resistance, and momentum. You can improve your character's stats by giving them better equipment also. This includes weapons, shields, and enchanted rings. You do come across these fountains that let you increase certain stats for a couple of times. Those are pretty scarce, and I saw myself increase the main character stats most of the time. When you fight for a while, your squad does start to feel fatigue. Having this status in your characters affects their HP when starting another battle. So in order to increase their energy, you need to feed them food that you find along the way. Now remember when I mentioned that I chose to play in casual mode so my characters don't die forever, but I had the mentality of playing classic mode for some reason? So when a character of mine died, I turned off my 3DS and started all over. I kept doing that again and again and again for no apparent reason. I guess my heart wanted to feel pain and suffering. That's weird. It's very weird. Anyways, well, I gave up doing that because Shadows of Valentia offers you a time clock that lets you turn back time. This device is very useful for casual fans that get too frustrated when your characters die. You can go back a turn or turns to the moment you chose to do a wrong move. You can even go back to the beginning of the battle to have a fresh start. Now, you do have a count limit of how many times you can turn back time. Once you are out of turns, you can recharge them in the Milla statues / sanctuaries found in dungeons. Milla statues can also heal your squad from fatigue if you trade something with it. I usually traded red wine and it healed everyone, so just a little tip there. The statue also gives you the options of using amiibos and upgrading classes. Now, after leveling up your characters for a certain amount of time, you are able to upgrade them to beefier classes. It is so satisfying upgrading a character that you've been commanding to fight enemies after enemies to a class that improves their stats and gives them cooler armor in doing so. Now, here are some of the negatives. I wasn't a big fan of the 3D / third person view that the game changes you when you enter a dungeon. It throws you off because the game is a top-down tactic strategy gameplay. Plus, when you attack an enemy, you just go back to the top-down view. So I thought it was a bit pointless. Maybe they want you to get ready for the Fire Emblem Warriors game. Whatever. You'll get used to it. I mean, there are only 4 to 6 dungeons in the game, so nothing to worry about. There's one thing that the game doesn't make clear, and that is the structure between classes. What I mean by that is that the game doesn't make clear what's effective against what. So I kept asking myself, are archers effective towards magical enemies? Oh wait, no, I just killed the sword fighter with one hit with one of my archers. Never mind. The game makes you just cross your fingers and hope to kill your opponent. This is not a big problem because the fun of the game is seeing your soldiers get that satisfying blow, making you feel like a badass commanding an army of elite women and men. The game does love to work out your brain and really think about your next move. Enemies consist of the same classes that you have, but you do come across these warlocks/witches that are able to summon more enemies. These enemies are very tedious to fight. You would think that the summoner is pretty weak, and to make up for it, they summon more enemies to protect themselves. Wrong, they are very powerful than the pawns they summon. They were able to kill some of my soldiers in one blow if I wasn't careful. That is one of the biggest negatives I have towards this game. Even though there isn't a class structure, magic enemies beat pretty much anything. You fight them more in Celica's path than in Alm's. That's why I had more fun playing in Alm's storyline. You fight armies of battalions of men with weapons and not magic wands. The game does focus more on Alm's storyline, so I found myself more interested in his path anyways, so I was fine with it. Another thing that the game doesn't make clear is how many hits a character can do per enemy. My soldiers will hit the enemies twice and sometimes once. Same with the enemy. Now, there are some enemies that can hit you up to 4 times. And I'm talking about these guys over here. These enemies' attacks are powerful and they have great defense and resistance. They are pretty much perfect throughout the whole game. When I upgraded my mercenary to one of them, I felt like a badass, so that kind of evens out. It does take a while to get to that class, so you have to fight a lot of ninjas before you get there. I had a lot of fun commanding my army and leveling it up to become an elite squad. So gameplay does check out, even with the little flaws in combat structure and kind of being repetitive. The game does change its battlefield in a creative way, so for you to attack creatively. The gameplay is addicting and it does make you come back to the 3DS and finish the game like I did. So again, good for the gameplay. Let's move on. So let's move on to the final section of the game, execution. Now, how does Fire Emblem Echoes Shadow of Valentia execute the game? Well, after playing the game more than 30 hours, that means battling enemies like this, and this, and this, I found myself thinking that the matches were getting a bit repetitive, like I mentioned before. There's only so many times you can get excited of seeing your characters doing the same attack animation over and over again. The game does give you some pretty beefy characters in your roster that you find using more than the others. For instance, in Celica's army, I have this mercenary named Saber. First and foremost, this guy is named Saber. That is already a badass in my book. And second, he has a motherfucking eye patch. If this doesn't scream beast mode, then I don't know what does. Anyways, back to the subject. Saber was one of the characters that I rely on the most in the battles. While others needed to get healed every time they got hit by an enemy, Saber will take hits like a champ and will hit like a champ. He will block almost everything and KO almost everything. The game does give you certain characters that you're going to use more than the others. The main characters though, in each battle, are the true MVPs. You will use these fellows to defeat almost every powerful enemy. Alm and Celica will dodge block almost every attack, and they seem like they have 95% critical attack damage, so that will KO almost all strong bosses or enemies. And if their attacks didn't kill the enemies, it will damage them near death and will give one of my other characters opportunity to kill them. Oh, almost forgot. If Alm and Celica die, the game is over and you will have to play that 1 hour battle again. Now let's talk about the execution of the story. I'll be quick, so let's start. So after Alm and Celica get to know more soldiers and recruit them, the story starts to answer some of the questions. Now let's start off with Alm. So throughout the story, there are hints that Alm might be royalty. So at the end of his journey, Alm finds out that Rudolph, the bad guy, or the king of Rigel, is his father, and after fatally wounding him in a battle, Rudolph says that he gave him to Sir Mycen to hide him from this war. But now that Duma is out of control, Alm is the only one to stop him. Meanwhile, in Celica's path, Celica is trying to figure out where is Milla and why is Duma sending his henchmen all over Valentia. Celica's story does go in a faster pace to me, because after Celica finds out that Milla has been captured by Rudolph with a special sword, then one of Duma's henchmen blackmails Celica and convinces her to give up. She does give up because she wants to protect her army from dying, I guess. Not really too sure why would that make sense. Whatever. The point is, it is all up to to fight through many battles in this last level themed dungeon. Finds Milla stabbed through the head by Rudolph's special sword I mentioned before, and Celica is being mind controlled by Duma now. Now, wait a minute, Milla's spirit is still alive and tells to grab the sword and attack Celica. Good old fashioned Milla being crazy. I mean, why would you want to attack your friend? But whatever. Anyways, this helps Celica snap out of her mind control and off they go to fight Duma. That's simple, yeah. Anyways, wait a minute, wait, hold on. If Milla can become a dragon, does that mean that Duma can be also? Oh, okay. Of course he is. And the final battle begins. And oh my god, is the final battle a pain in the ass. In this battle, you are able to use all your allies you have gathered throughout and Celica's path now to make this great giant army. But that didn't stop me from rage quitting and throwing my 3DS across the room. The last level insisted of having in the left side of the field and Celica on the right. Guess where Duma's at? He's in the upper right corner of the field. So what that means is that I need to move and his troops all the way to the right first before I can do anything. But wait, there are 4 ninja guys waiting for me and 1 horse dude here. So I need to defeat those guys first and then start moving to the right. Then in Celica's side, there are these floating eyes that can pack a punch and they are pretty easy to kill though. The hassle is that they can summon more of them if you let them live for so long. They can also be summoned by this ugly warlock guy. This warlock guy can't be hit or damaged for no reason. That's insanely annoying. Then, right behind this guy, there are 2 horse archers that can do so much damage. Oh, but wait. Duma has 3 strong magical enemies that can summon more enemies. These spawns can teleport right behind the weakest member of my army. That can get really annoying. Not because they are powerful, it is because in this battle, you have Duma being a dickhead. He's a total ass. Every certain turn, he does this move that almost takes 10 HP damage on every single character in your roster. You know how annoying that is? When he does this crap, and then one of the witches teleports right behind my weakened character and kills it? Look, throughout the whole game, I've been trying to keep my team alive, and if some died, I will use the time clock to reverse time. But in this match, I said screw it, and I used some of my team as bait to let and Celica pass to kill Duma. Duma is a pain to kill also. He has a great amount of life, and his attacks can kill in 1 hit if he wanted to. Remember, if or Celica gets killed, the game is over and I have to start all over. Damn, this battle was a hassle. After death, I finally got lucky and killed this Duma. God dang it, man. Die already. Yeah, son of a bitch. Oh, that felt good. Anyways, you kill Duma and the land of Valentia is free from the control of the 2 gods. Now the people of Valentia can decide how they want to live and mold their own fate. That is it. That is the end of the game, and God was I relieved. Whew. Okay, let me take a breather. Alright. Now it's time to give this game a verdict. Now, after playing the game again more than 30 hours, there is repetitiveness, there is some flaws in the fighting mechanic. There are, of course, things missing in that fighting mechanics like structure, like I mentioned before. But the game is basically and fundamentally fun. Again, I came back to it again and again because I had a lot of fun. So I'm going to give the verdict. I'm just going to kind of end it right now. So I give Fire Emblem Echoes a good 8 out of 10. The game did give me an experience that made me think of my next move. It can be a bit tiring after a while, but this is not a turn off your brain kind of video game, okay? That is why every single victory you claim is darn satisfying. That satisfaction also comes from evolving your characters from these soldiers that can be killed easily to these experienced soldiers that have a lot of armor and know how to take hits. That's what kept me going, making my army into this giant powerhouse. The game has a lot of content to go through, so I do recommend this game to play. Now get yourself a 3DS and start playing this game, Fire Emblem Echoes, before you start playing any of them. Because I think it's actually a good introduction before you start playing Awakening and of course Fates and all that good stuff, at least from my opinion. So let's end this review. What do you think of this long ass review? Did I bore you? Well, don't worry, because the next review will be a lot shorter. At least I hope. So one question before I let you guys go is, what is your favorite Fire Emblem character? So leave a comment down below, and don't forget to give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to get you notified of the next video I will be doing. Till next time, this was the Duke Now channel. Have a great day.